everyone, I'm Caroline and welcome to my home here on the hillside. And Easter is fast approaching, as is spring. So I thought let's make a couple of fun Easter things that can be used for spring too. They don't have to be kept just for Easter. So if you want to leave them up longer, you leave them up longer. And you can even just take a few of the Easter elements off them and they definitely will be suitable for the spring. So let's have a look what I got for my first project here. I'm not sure as usual exactly what I'm going to use, so I've put in readiness some little Easter bunnies and a bigger Easter bunny. I've got some bird's nests, which I got from the pound, or from, I think you can get them from Dollar Tree. I got some little pots from the pound shop, again 9, I think, or 12, and they were, surprise, surprise, £1. Burlap ribbon and some butterfly ribbon. Again, pound shop or Dollar Tree, you can pick yourself up some carrot decorations. I've got some various butterflies. I've got this grass and I've got this hessian that I got around a pot from the pound shop with flowers and Easter eggs in. So I took that off and I've got some of that as well as the flowers and Easter eggs and the pot. I've got my little box of goodies. These are all little bits of greenery that I cut off other projects. Some twine, some jute twine, and I've got some wood. Now I've got a stick. I picked this up at the beach when I was beach combing and it's beautifully smooth and well worn. I don't think I'm going to treat this in any way. I'm not going to put any varnish or any colouring or staining on it. I think it looks lovely, quite natural. I also got this at the beach, which is a little plank. And I got this at the beach, which I got my hubby to drill a hole in. I haven't got a drill, so I said, any chance you could drill this for me? And he's drilled a hole through there. And I've got this, which is just an offcut of a shelf, very scruffy. There's bits of black everywhere from this grass. And look at this. Got a hole to put something in and somewhere to screw if I wanted to. I don't think I'll be putting a screw in that middle section. We'll find out. So I've been looking at this and I think I can do this without using any screws. You can just use glue. So the idea is we've got my little mound and then this sign post is going to go in. So if I put some hot glue and some wood glue onto this, I think it'll hold pretty nicely. So there we have the basis for our sign. The next thing I want to do is put some grass down on this mound to make it look as if this sign is sticking out of the ground. And so I've got this greenery. Now this is terrible for making a mess. I've taken it out of the garden, I've shaken it to death, and look, I've still got loads of bits coming off it. So just be aware, if you're going to use this, you're going to get messy. Cut it roughly to size. It doesn't help because when you cut it then, you cut some of the bits of greenery off and they go everywhere as well. So as you can see, it's a bit of a disaster. So now I'm going to work out roughly where the centre is and cut a hole or a little square or cross, I suppose. Don't worry if you get this in the wrong place, because if you do, you can always take it back off and make another hole. And look at that, first time. Not like me at all. So I'm going to be trimming this, but first of all I'm going to glue it into place. So let's put a little bit of glue around where the stick joins. You can't really see what I'm doing. Where the stick joins the mound, and put in that. Going to make sure the edges and the corners are glued, and then blob some bits everywhere else. Let's work on this side, same thing. Making sure you cover the edges, because we're going to be cutting this off very near to the edge. You don't want it sticking up. That will spoil the look of your little mound, or your little mountain, or your little bunny hill. To stick the edges down along the sides, which will make a bit of a ruffled effect. I mean, you could try and get it to run smoothly, but I quite like the idea of a ruffled effect. It looks more realistic, like that. See, so we got a little bit of a dump there, but that doesn't matter. I've glued my... Look at this mess. Oh, I'll be glad when it's in place. And now we just need to trim the edge. This is going to be very messy. If you have a nervous disposition and you don't like a lot of mess, look away now. Now, this project is very forgiving. You can see there's a little gap there, so I'm just going to put a blob of blue on there. And then stick some of these spare bits down. I should have put my finger protector on really first. And there you got your little mound. I would normally put the signs on next, but I'm not going to do that because you won't be able to see anything. So I'm going to clean up again. So now we want to put some decorations on the bottom. And I've got my little bunnies, which I am thinking are the probable bunnies that I'm going to choose. So open them up. Oh, that sort of destroyed that box, isn't it? Well, they don't want you to get these bunnies out. That certainly wasn't easy. Oh, then they glued to the bottom. Oh. Guess I'll just put 4 bunnies in a row. Right, so we've got some bunnies and we've got some carrots. So I could just leave some carrots lying on the ground like that, but I think it's going to look better to have them sticking out of the ground. Let's see if I can put that there to show you. So I'm going to cut them off. I know it seems like a waste of half a carrot, but I think it's going to be very effective. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Bit messy. What we'll do is we'll pick the nicer side to go on the front if we clean off the bottom a little bit. And it's going to be poked in the grass. So if we fluff the grass up a bit, which will probably make another mess. And then hot glue the carrots into the ground. I've been looking and I think I'm going to go for this bunny which I painted. I took his eyes out to paint him. I've popped them back in now. He's still a little tacky. I would really recommend you let him dry if you're going to use a bunny that's been painted. But I'm going to go for it and pop little bunny on top there of the mound. So there's our little bunny peeping over the mound. There's our bits of carrots that are driving me bananas. And there's still bits falling off this. The options are some burlap around the outside. There. I think the burlap's going to suit it. Yes, I was going to use butterflies. I'll show you the butterflies. But you never can tell until you've started. And I think the butterflies don't work. So this is very awkward. Let's see if I can lie it down like that. And my burlap is going to be sticking up a little bit. So I need to cut a very tiny sliver off. So I'll start on the back end. And that way then the join is at the back, which is much better. It's not essential, but it's better. And then peel it off and stick it along the edge like that. Let's turn my camera there a bit. I think most of this is going off screen, isn't it? Oh, we come to see I'm a little bit uneven with my cutting, but I don't think anybody's going to notice that. And if they are, I think they're too polite to say. I hope. Right, come along. There, we're nearly there. I love sticking this self-adhesive stuff on. I got a couple of self-adhesive laces and they're just so much fun. Maybe it's just me, but I love the whole tactile experience. Along we come, and hopefully we haven't cut it too short. No, there we are. We have cut that a bit long, so we'll trim that gradually like that. Oh, now we've cut that. Never mind. Oh, it needed to come off anyway. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Just don't tell anybody. I'll poke our grass down. You may need a little bit of hot glue. Now, look at this. This carrot is everywhere. Just making sure that the burlap is hiding the edge as much as possible. So now we could do with some trees and things at the back. And I've got these. These are really weird. They came from the pound shop, only they cost me £2. And they were on like tiles, a foot square. I don't know if you can get those in Dollar Tree. But they're very useful. There's such a lot on them for the price. I'm thinking of popping these along the edge. Let's turn this up again. There. So I think that would be enough of those. And let's have a look at what else I've got in my little box of magic tricks. So I've got a little bit of this, which is, I think is supposed to be a lamb's ear. It's a smaller version. Right, so I'm going to go for gluing these on. I know as I said, I like to be prepared and know where things are going, but I'm just going to wing this. This could go well, could go terribly. We'll find out. at this, I've even got one glued to the bottom. I've got glue everywhere, mess everywhere. This has got to be one of the messiest crafts I have ever done. Now it needs something over this side. We could put a little pot of flowers. Oh, I really like that idea. Now, I did wonder if I was going to use the pots, whether to wrap them in this burlap. But I don't think I will. What I can do is to tie it all in and give a little bit of continuity, I could put a roll of burlap around the middle, or a strip. Or I could put several thin strips. Might as well use this thin burlap up, so if it'll come off the backing, because it's very thin. Yep. We'll use that and stick this all the way around. You can't really see very clearly, can you? Because I've got so much rubbish on my desk now. So that's a bit wonky in places, but it adds to the rustic look. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So now we need to put some flowers in there. Let's pop some of that in there, make an even bigger mess on our desk. Now let's add some flowers. I just love the way you can start off and you're not quite sure what to do. And I used to be put off. I think, well, I can't really think what I'm going to do. And then I wouldn't start, but then you realise then, get started, that's the best way to figure out what you're going to do. Quite often I start off with some items that I want to use, but I've no idea how I'm going to use them or which ones I'm going to use. As you've seen at the beginning of most of my videos, I tend to just, does that fit? No, it's a bit too bright green. I tend to get all my craft accessories ready and then make the decision as I'm going along. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted here thinking. Let's take some of these leaves off. And now I'm going to use some of this reindeer moss, which I got from Hobbycraft, which I assume is like Hobby Lobby. And it is really, really messy. Since I've made such a mess, I don't suppose it'll hurt to make a bit more. And pop this around. Tears really easily, just so you can't see all the boring workings of the pot. There we go. We're now going to glue this. I'll glue the pot rather than the grass so we know it's going in the right place. Put that by the side of the sign there. So now I'm going to put some things out of the way and show you how we're getting on so far, looking at it in that direction. Oh, I'm really pleased with that. So now I've got my signs to make. So I got this piece of wood. Let's get rid of these carrots. They're driving me bananas. Now these signs are going to go, let's put my box back over there. Lay that down. These signs are going to go on here like that. So I thought the first thing I'll do is write on them. And then I can work from there. So I get my Sharpie out. So we put fresh flowers, 50 cents, carrots 5 cents. I want it to look as if somebody's really scruffily painted it on with a paintbrush. Nothing posh and fancy for this. And if you run out of space or it's a bit wonky, that's all the better. Makes it look really rustic. Fresh. Ooh, we've got the squash flowers on now. I think that looks sufficiently amateurish, which is the look I'm going for. Now I'm going to put this down again over here and put them where I want them to be. And I'm going to tie them on. Now this is going to be a challenge. It could take a while. I'm going to use some twine. Now I'd like to put some hot glue on first and see if it holds them in place. Yep, we'll give that a try. If the worst comes to the worst, we can always take it back off. Then you get your twine and tie it around and around in whatever form you like. You can cross over at the front. I'm leaving mine plain at the front because of where the letters have landed. I think it looks better straight. And we'll cut off the extra bits. And now we need a carrot sign put on. I'm tempted to put that at an angle. I think it'll look quite humorous. So put that there, and whimsical. Humour and whimsy always makes me smile. I like the look of having this just glued in place so much that I've taken the twine off the top. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of extra reinforcement on the back, because I am asking an awful lot from this hot glue. I'll just run some down each side. It doesn't look pretty from the back, but it's just going to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Move it down there. I thought perhaps a bird's nest popped on there would look humorous. Or another option I had, I think the wooden butterflies would look nicer. So I'm just going to glue a few of those on around and about. They don't need a lot of glue because they're only lightweight. We put one on a flower pot. And I might put one, if I show you, right there near the top. I think that'll look quite nice too. So the only thing left to do is a bow for Bunny, because you know me and my bunny bows. All bunnies have to have bows. Doesn't that bunny look very jolly and happy and pretty and colourful? Oh, I love it. So let's have a look what this looks like up in my Easter display. Let me know what you think of it. Do you like it? Would you prefer the string around the signs or not? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And do you think all bunnies look better with a bow? For this project, I've got a few things ready. As usual, I don't know I'll be using all of them, but they're all the ones I think have potential. And I've got this white silk ribbon, a wired buffalo check gingham ribbon. I've got some carrots. I really don't know whether I'll be using those. But this little wooden sign that did say spoilt rotten dog for some reason. I've got this. I had a hat and it had a pom-pom on either side, and it was very heavy and kept pulling my hat off. So I cut the pom-poms off and thought, they'll make nice bunny tails. This bow, and this came off the wreath that I'm going to be working on. I don't know whether I'm going to use that. That's another possible. I've got this lovely piece of orange gingham that is probably going to get used because I love that. Put this bit of lace on, that's probably not, but it's there anyway just in case. I've got some twigs. I've got material cut into about 2-inch strips. This was an old vintage quilt cover, I think it was. And I've just torn up lots and lots of strips. You can cut these if you want a neat edge. I like the torn edge anyway, and they're going to be hidden on this so you won't see them. So I've got lots of that. And then I've got this. Now, I was in the pound shop, which is, I suppose, like Dollar Tree. And it's a lovely bunny-shaped wreath, but they had all these little blobs on it. I pulled some of the Easter eggs off that they had stuck on, and I thought, well, I'll clear all the little blobs off, and then I've got a beautiful wreath. £3, a really good price for one of these grapevine type wreaths in the shape of a bunny, which is like 2 wreaths there and all this excess here. And then I started to pick them off and realised that I didn't have enough life left in me to pick all these little bits off. So I decided we'll have to do something drastic with this. I didn't like the little dots myself. Now, you may like them and it may fit in with your deco, but for me, I really needed to do something about it. You can see the bits that are falling off this all the time. I cleaned this before I put it back down ready to film, and it's already a mess. So I think the best thing that I can do with this is cover it up. Now, you may skip this stage and think, well, I like it. I'm keeping it as it is. So this is where these little pieces of fabric are going to come in useful, and I'm going to cover the whole of the frame in this really beautiful daisy on green background fabric. Start at the back, and this is going to be the back. And then wind and wrap, making sure that the top edge is always folded, because you will see that, unless you want a nice rough rustic edge showing, that's fine as well. And then every couple of winds, add a little bit of glue, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. When you get to corners, you've got to be particularly firm with this and pull it into place and hot glue it to make sure that you're going to get complete coverage over the whole of the wreath. So take your time with this. It is fiddly, but it's well worth it. I think your finished product will be so much better for a little bit of time taken now. When it comes to wrapping these, you could, if you wanted to, use yarn, a nice thick chunky yarn. But I will say that wrapping with this fabric took about all my patience reserves up. It is amazing how fiddly it is. So unless you've got infinite patience, I would recommend fabric rather than yarn, no matter how thick it is. And I'm finally on the home straight. I'm about to glue the last bit in. That was quite a marathon. Some of the problems were the little bits of brown that was sticking through. I had to keep chopping off. I had a big problem with the bobbles. Sometimes I could squash them in and use a bit of pressure and they disappear. Other times I had to try to cut them off. So it was quite a long job. You can see I've got bits of bobbles everywhere. So Bunny is all covered. I think he's looking quite smart in his new colour scheme. There are bits of ends of fabric everywhere and bits of glue. So I'll have to get those off so that all the hot glue spaghetti. But let's get on to the next stage. Now I've got my little sign. I didn't know whether to take these off. I got these for 20p each in a charity shop. I'm not quite sure how they've put the string in there. I think they've glued it in. And I was going to take that off and I thought, no, I think it'll look quite nice hanging on the bunny. Look, these little bobbles are going to keep finding us all through this video. So I got some PBO Studio Acrylics, high viscosity opaque blanc titanium, which is titanium white. I'm going to try out this new brush. I found this and it's a big floppy one, so it's going to be perfect for things like Mod Podge. I don't know how well it's going to cope with acrylic paint, so let's find out. Oh, it's quite good. But I've just thought, before I start, let's get some masking tape on the ends of the piece of twine. Otherwise, I'm going to have white twine. I love painting direct onto wood. It's so therapeutic. The feel of the paintbrush going to and fro. Ah, good I put the masking tape on because you can see I've already splodged some of it. I'm wondering whether to leave the front painted and leave the back brown. I think I may do that. If you want to get a better finish, what I find is if you stop like that, you can't help it. You're going to get a splodge. But if you go straight across from one side to the other, there's no opportunity for that splodge to happen, and that's a lot smoother. So we'll pop that up there to dry. Pop that over there. And now let's tackle some of Bunny's decorations. Now, the one thing I know I'm doing is this pom-pom here, snip the end off there, is going there. Could put it to the side. What do you think? That's the trouble. As soon as I start thinking, I overthink it. I'm putting it in the middle. So a big blob of hot glue. We don't want his tail falling off. That would be very uncomfortable for poor old Bunny. And then pop it in place. Hold it for a while. And look at that when it's all fluffed up. That's going to look gorgeous. So the next thing I think we need to do is make Bunny a bow. I do love to put a bow on my bunnies. So the question is, a smaller bow on his ear there, or a big bow around his neck there. So I do have this little orange bow. So I could put, if I do just a 2-loop bow, I like doing these. Just, you always get your tails going in the right direction. So I could put that there, but that's not really big enough. If I put a white bow behind it, not keen, not keen. So I think we'll just do the one bow there. So while that's finishing off drying, I'm going to put it on this bit of paper here and cut a piece of paper out virtually the same size as this piece of wood without touching the front, which isn't dry yet, which can be a bit of a challenge. Just to give me a rough outline, because I'm going to write the word Happy Easter and I really don't know how big to do it, and I don't want to spoil that paint and have to repaint it again. So let's handwrite this and see what it looks like, see the size and decide what we're going to do. So I want happy. I wonder if I could put, I think I'll put hoppy. Now, admittedly, that's not going to be as perfect as you're going to get if you do it with your Cricut machine or something. But I think there's something charming about writing this by hand anyway. So I'm going for it. First thing I'm going to do, obviously, I'm not going to go straight in with a pen. You may be confident enough, but I'm certainly not. So I'll be going in with a pencil. I think it's going to be difficult to erase anyway, but we'll give it a try. See, no, this is still a bit tacky, a little bit more drying. I've decided to sand down the edges first too, just to give it a little bit more of a rustic country theme, a country look. And that way then, if you've splurged around the sides, you can rub that too, or leave it looking rustic country. Now you can trace this and then go over it. I'm taking my life in my hands. I'm just using this as a very vague guide. Oh, I've got bits of sanding all over my paint now. As a very vague guide, I'm going to put that there and I can see roughly the size it's going to be. Right, now I'm going to trace Happy Easter. So I'm going to rub out the pencil marks, but not quite yet because this is still a little tacky as I'm rushing. Now this sign's a bit plain. I did get on my birthday haul, I had a massive haul from a charity shop on my birthday, and that video is coming out next week. But I got these, and these were £1.50 in the works. I had 2 packs for 99p. I wondered if they would look good. We've got different shades. If I pull them all out, you can see the different shades, whether to put a little cluster. Oh, they're too big for a little cluster. They're only going to fit one on. Oh, I like that. So I'm going to glue the little bit of greenery on first. And then a little bit on the flower. Pop that on. Trying not to obscure the edge. Oh, yes. I like that. So here's Mr. Bunny, and you will notice something I've spotted a few times as I was making him. As I'm clear these off, the little bits will start to stick out. So just snip them off. This is the pointy bits that are coming through. Be careful because they are quite sharp and pointy. I need to attach that there. Now I'm going to attach it with the string, but I'm also going to attach it either end with some hot glue just to give it an extra bit of firmness. So I can put it any height really. Right, by shortening this as well, I'm getting more sides for the actual sign to glue to this. So I'm going to the body of the rabbit. So I'll hot glue it quite excessively. I do always like to be excessive with my hot glue. And that way then, once and you're done, rather than it falling off. Pop it on there. Tie a knot in the top of this. Oh, he's starting to look very nice. So now we got the little orange bow that's going to go up about this height, which is the nicer side of this bow. So now we just need something here to decorate Bunny in the neck area. It'll hide this and it'll give him a little bit of more brightness and happiness. Glue the bow to the front. Whoops. Or to the plastic bag. Now this is probably over the top. I should stop now. You get those times when you think, maybe I've done enough. But I think I could put something else on the bow. So I'm trying that yellow flower, and also, look what he looks like with a carrot on his bow. It's difficult to tell because you can't see the orange ribbon up there, but the orange ribbon would tie in with the carrots. We could put 2 carrots on. A thin one and a fat one. And a flower. No. Oh, I think that's going to look cute. Yep, that's what I'm going for. 3 roses. I think I'll pop a bit of greenery on as well. Sometimes you might like to be spontaneous, but I like to, when it comes to this sort of thing, give it a quick trial run, even if I tweak it afterwards, because you put things in thinking, oh, they look all right, and then you sort of box yourself into a corner, and you think, oh, right, I really should have put shorter pieces there, or I need some longer pieces instead, or whatever. So it just gives you a basic idea, you know, we're on the right track. So now what we need to do is come up with a hanger, and I got this white ribbon out, so let's use this as a hanger. Now I think I'm going to put the hanger coming from his ears. I'm going to have to be really awkward doing this because I don't want to put him down yet because the hot glue isn't completely dry. So there is my bunny, and I absolutely love him already. Let's see what he looks like in my display. Craft, I'm going to use a lot of florals, as you can see by the way they're overwhelming my table. I've got this lovely braid of sunflowers. I got some tulips and some daffodils from the pound shop. I've got some white fabric. I don't know if you can see, but there is a very slight patterning on it. This blue gingham, which was from the charity shop for £1. A bunny. Windmills, I think these were from One Below. Twine, butterflies that somebody sent me. Blue lace, white broderie on glaze lace. I've got this little blackboard type thing that we're going to use as a sign. I've got this I put on using my son's cry cut. We made fresh flowers and then I put the piece of paper on, and I took, as you do, you jumble about, you put different pieces of plastic on, very difficult to explain, and I was left with this, so I thought, well, rather than throw it away, I'm going to stick it on this bit of wood and I may come up with a use for it. And I've just come up with a use for it. And I got this bunny that was from the pound shop as well. Old vintage basket that I got from an auction, and I love the pattern. I was going to paint over this with white. Well, it turns out that natural wood is starting to come back in, so I don't want to spoil this by putting a lot of white paint on it. And it's so pretty, I think when it's got all the other decorations on, it's going to be fine. So we'll start off by clearing some space and dealing with this bunny head. Take his face off, and I'm going to hang on to that because I don't think I'm going to use it in this project, but you never know. And you never know when else I'll want a bunny face. And now just take off the tinsel. And taking this tinsel off isn't quite as easy as it looks. It's a little bit difficult when you especially get to the ear area. You can't see what's folded where and twisted where. So just be prepared for a little bit of a fight with it, but not too much. It's not one of those really annoying jobs. It just is a bit time consuming. And you're left with rather a creepy looking rabbit. So we need to take all these little pointy bits off the outside. Now, if you were going to wrap this with a thick white cord or something like that, you could leave those on. But I'm not. I'm covering him with fabric. So all these little tags are better off coming off. Otherwise, the fabric will look really silly. So that's bunny all cleared off. Now, if you're a really conscientious person, you could cut these even tighter. You could rub down the edge of the plastic. But I'm just going for it as it is. And now I need to cover the face. So I'm going to get my scissors out. And I'm going to cut a piece of fabric about the size I'm going to need. I'm going to give myself plenty of wiggle room. I don't want to cut it too small and then be really frustrated. Give plenty of space all around the bunny for the front part. And then we'll be a little bit more accurate when we go around the back part. So we place Bunny down, well, face down, so the curve is that way. This is concave looking at it, looks like a cave. And now we're just going to wrap him by using hot glue. Let's put my hot glue finger protectors on, just so he's nicely covered. It'll take a little bit of wiggling and manoeuvring to get it exactly in the right place. But just be patient and you'll get there in the end. If you can hear any noise, it's not that our home has been invaded by a herd of wild, marauding elephants. It's just my son's bedroom is above my studio. And he's decided he's going to move all his furniture around. In fairness, he didn't know at the time that I was actually going to be making a video. So I said, yes, that's fine, you go ahead. And then I thought I could make another video before bedtime tonight. And so now we've got to put up with the noise. And I can't tell him to stop because all his furniture virtually is in our hallway. So if he stops now, we won't be able to get up and down the stairs. Right, you can see an obvious mistake I've made there. So let's take that off and do that all again without you noticing. I'm going to cut down carefully between the ears. And hopefully I won't have any problems then covering each ear. So I'm going to have to put a bit of hot glue on the front of the face here. I don't want to do too much because I don't want anything showing through on the fabric. But I need this to pull taut around the front of the face, otherwise we'll lose that curvy shape. That's looking pretty good on the front, not so good on the back, but that doesn't matter because we'll get that hidden. Now you may decide you don't want to cover the back, and that's fine. It's just I'm going to cover it because I just think it'll look a little bit neater from behind. Draw a line about a centimetre in from the edge of the bunny. As you can see, it's not a very accurate centimetre because we're going to be folding this edge. This isn't going to be a raw edge that's showing. So we can get away with being a little bit more slapdash. Right, there we go. Now we just need to cut that out. Bring back Bunny and pop this on the back. Now this, if it isn't tight enough, is going to flop inwards. So what I'm thinking of doing is just putting a little bit of padding or wadding in here to make sure that this back doesn't fall inwards. Not that it would matter terribly, but I just fancy doing that just to add a little bit more body to his head, or some head to his head. And the perfect thing is going to be the tinsel that we cut out of him. So that'll be fine there. Take that off and we can glue it into place ever so roughly, just to make sure it doesn't wander off when we're gluing it. And we're done. We don't need to do anything in the ears because they are flat. So now pop this back on and be sure that it's going to be in the right place, because once you've started sticking, it's very difficult to alter the way he's going. So I'm going to very carefully fold the bottom here and glue that just with one small blob of glue. Wait till it cools because you are going to be putting a little bit of pressure on this. Yep, that's looking good. So I think we can now go for the two sides. So if you were doing that at 6 o'clock, we'll now do 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And again, make sure it's nice and cool before you move on to the next bit. Now we'll do a little bit by the ear. Here, and then we can start covering up Bunny's ears. When you're gluing it, if you make sure, if something's going to overhang, make sure the front is overhanging rather than the back. It'll just make a neater finish. Up to the top, go as close as you can to the edge, but just don't go over it if you can help it. It won't matter anyway because it's the same colour, but just if you want it to look a bit neater, it's always worth taking that extra little bit of care. So there we got Bunny all nicely done. Now the next thing we need to do is going to be more glue gun, and we're going to line the inside of our basket with some of the gingham. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to allow for a little bit of a fold at the top. It's going to come down and around to just over halfway. So I'd say it's about there. I'm not a big fan of measuring, so that's the way I'm going to do it. And then tear. Because I'm not very good at cutting straight lines either. Now I'm going to take this and wrap it around the basket. Allow myself a good overhang. Little chop. And tear. So this is going to be going inside the bin like this, and I want the top turned over like that. And the easiest way to do this is to actually not stick it into the bin, stick it out of the bin. Sounds mad, but bear with me. So I'm going to run a line of glue, if you can see this, around the inside there, and then just leave a little fold there that's not glued, and glue that facing outwards all the way around the bin. Trying to figure out the best way to show you this. I'm going to, the first flip over that I did, I'm going to glue that, oops, to itself, just lightly. And then I'm going to glue this fold over on top of that flip over. So let's see if I can show you up on here. So I've folded this, so now I'm going to glue that on top of there, near to the edge, and it'll make like a sewing seam, which is much easier than sewing it. And now we pop that into the bin. And the bottom then is going to be a bit messy, so you can fold it and jiggle it until you've got it nice and neat. And you can glue that if you like. Now I'm going to come around again now and re-glue the edges of this to make them nice and neat. So there we go. I'm sure you will do an even neater job than the one I've done, because I'm not a very neat and tidy person. Now I'm going to stick some lace around the edge here to brighten up the top edge of the bin. So what I'm going to do here is decide which is my worst bit. Then I can have that to the back. So I've got the seam there, and that does seem to be the worst bit there. So I'm going to start my seam for this at the back too. So that is coming together very nicely. What I'm going to do with this, it is actually going to work as a stencil. So I'm going to get some of my white acrylic paint. And I got this new stencil brush. Well, new to me. I got it from the charity shop for £1. The Dreamweaver stencils. Now, I don't know whether that's a good make or not, but it was £1 and I needed a stencil brush. And now let's take this off and see how this has gone. Did it work as a stencil? Yes, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to wind this around the basket. It's completely non-functional. It's purely because it looks nice. So I'm going to cut that weird end off. Now the glue stick. If I had £1 for every glue stick I used doing craft, I'd be a millionaire. And where's the back of the basket again? And we'll start by gluing this little bit here up under the lace. And then just occasionally, where the flowers come, I'm going to show you there. Just going to glue them in place with some hot glue. Hold them for a couple of seconds until the glue cools. So have I got the messiest glue gun in the world? Do you get in a mess with your glue guns? I do enjoy using a glue gun though. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's because it's another tactile thing you do with your art. You are in control of how much glue comes out very physically because you make the decision how hard to press the glue trigger and things like that. I know it sounds weird, but I do enjoy that sort of thing, like looking through paper when I'm searching through my papers for a nice pattern to use and things like that. Just hearing the rustle of the paper and things like that are, for me, really pleasant. And now I just want to glue this fresh flower sign to the basket. We have the option now to put the eyes and nose and mouth back onto the bunny. So I think that's going to work really well, just turning them over. I don't think I need to colour them in any way. So let's get some glue onto these ears and get them stuck in place. I'm going to put plenty of glue on because sticking them to fabric is a little bit more of a challenge. And the other. And I'm going to stick an extra bit of glue down there because I can see it's popping up. Put my finger protector on and hold that down for a while. So I'm going to draw around this and make a new pink nose. Ah, that's better. And now we're just going to stick bunny head onto the back of the bin. Right, I've had a change of plan because if I put the head on, it's going to flop about. So I put some skewers right up through bunny's head there, and I'm going to make a little hole now here, tear some of the fabric back off. Either side there. That's the beauty of hot glue. Very rarely does hot glue last for a lifetime, so you can always alter things as you need to. And now I'm going to pop the skewers in there. And before I seal that up, I think I'll cover those skewers in lots of hot glue. This could get messy. Trying this without the aid of a safety net. I've never done it before, so it could go badly wrong. I'm holding the skewers against the back of the bin until it cools. I can still feel it's very hot, so I'm not going to do anything drastic until I know it's firmly stuck. Then I'm going to add some hot glue then down just under Bunny's neck, like that, and seal the lining back up. So our next job is to put the fresh flowers in here. Now, I don't want to put them right to the bottom because if I show you the length, they'll disappear. This is very difficult to show you. If I show you there, they'll just disappear. So I'm just going to put something on the bottom to raise the height a little bit. I've got some interfacing here. Pop that in the bottom, just give a little bit of height to the flowers. And then I'm going to arrange my flowers in here. And let's have a look to see what Bunny looks like up on my Easter display. So this last craft is going to be a bit of a gamble for me. I really don't know if this is going to work, but I've got a crazy idea. I showed my lamb on my haul video and everybody really loved him. So I thought, well, I really want to do something for Easter with my lamb so that everybody can see him in his glory, but it may not quite work out like that. So I've got my lamb, as you can see, it cost me 50p. If you'd like to check out my haul videos, you get to see lots of things like this. I love a bargain. My favourite price, £1. I love it if it's 50p. I got this dress that I got. It was a little girl's dress. It had some stains on it. So nobody wanted it. It was in the pound bin, so I took it. Now this has got a few issues because I accidentally dropped it in the paint. So it's got a little bit of white paint on. I got a lot of white paint on me. And I've got this white fabric that was off a little baby's dress that was in the pound bin. No, I think I had this for 50p because it was so small. I got a cotton candy tub. Now I've painted the top of this with some acrylic paint. I'm really running late, so I was rushing. I tried something on the outside. That didn't work, but you won't see any of that. Don't panic. It's not going to look like a tatty old thing. But it would be better if you took a little bit more time if you're doing it yourself to make sure the paint, you probably could do with another coat on it. I put 2 quick coats, but the one coat wasn't dry, so I've messed it up really, but that's fine. I can always top it up later. I wanted to show you this idea. Now the first thing I want to do is to measure these bits of white, and they're going to be, I can show you sideways on, sort of there. They want to come just above the top of the bottom and just below the top. So I'll just snip that there and then tear. Well, earlier on we had the noise of my son moving his room around. Now we got the sound of, I don't know, something like electronics going on up there. So if you can hear buzzing, that's what it is. It's a very noisy house tonight. So now I want to stick this to the pot. Now the reason I'm sticking this to the pot is the next fabric I use is going to be this, it's like a broderie anglaise, and there's holes in it, so I wanted it to look nice. Now if you're using something without holes in, you don't need to stick this white layer on. You haven't got to take a lot of care, just try to make it as smooth as you can, because that'll affect the next layer. So I'm not going to put tons of glue on because nobody's going to swing on it. That's not what this is for. Now with this screen here, I am going to fold the top. Let's check I've got the right way out. That's the right way out. I'm just going to fold the top over a little bit, like that, and then poke it up as close to the top as I can get it. So it's got a nice neat seam. It is fussy, but well worth it, especially if, like me, you've got a pattern that's actually on your fabric. Try to keep that pattern level. It looks so much nicer. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. As long as you enjoy doing it, that's the main thing, because sometimes you can get yourself almost paralysed by worrying about getting everything perfect and you never make anything. You think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Give it a go. If the worst comes to the worst, put it in the bin and nobody knows. But I'm sure you won't have something that's so bad it's bin worthy. Now I'm going to come for a run of glue down there on the seam. And now I'm going to get my glue gun and just do a run of glue along the bottom. If you're worried about cutting the edges on this, you could fold it under, but then it's not going to really stand very steady. So ideally you do need to now trim this off at the bottom of the bucket. The outside's looking good. It's a little puckered under the handles. You can cut around that if you want to, if you're using a tub like this. You may have one that doesn't need any sort of alteration because it'll fit nicely under the handles. Now I think we should put some lace around the bottom. I've got this self-adhesive lace that I got from Hobbycraft. I'm just neaten this off a little bit because some bits are sticking down. And then because this is self-adhesive, we don't need any glue. We start off on the join here. Take that off now. You don't need to wear finger protectors for pre-glued lace. Not unless you're very cautious. Another one of my favourite things to do. Self-adhesive lace. Oh, that is so much fun. The only thing I find with this self-adhesive lace is that it sells out very quickly and then doesn't come back in for months, and it's really frustrating then. So I bought myself 2 rolls this time when it came back into stock. So I'm hoping it'll last and won't run out before they get the new stock in again. So that is looking very nice. Now the inside looks a bit of a mess. But I've got more of this dress and I'm going to put it in and glue this frill here. You can see it was wreathed up and then they had embroidery anglaise lace on there. So I'm going to glue that right tight to the top edge there. And then the inside will just fill itself. We won't have to worry about making a bottom. So run your glue around the top as close as you dare. And then be careful you don't stick the fabric to it as you're putting it in. now get your finger protectors on. Push it into the glue. You do that all the way around. I seem to have spent an awful lot of today's video gluing fabrics. Don't usually do this much fabric gluing. It's just the way it's worked out. I think my worst part of all the craft videos today was trying to get the bits off that rabbit wreath. Oh, that drove me absolutely bananas. Well, you saw that in that I had to give up. I just couldn't get it done. But this is very relaxing, very therapeutic. It's, I think it's about 10 o'clock at night. I'm a bit tired, but I'm thoroughly enjoying doing this. It's a nice, relaxing thing to do before you go off to sleep. There's no stress in this. You just glue in and push in. So the next part is the bit that I could fail on. Because I've got this crazy plan. So first of all, we'll take our lamb and we're going to cut off the bow, because I don't like his red bow. Sorry, I don't mean to offend him, but I'm not keen on that. And I'm going to cut off this tag as close as I can. There, I think he looks better already. Now the plan is that I'm going to have my little lamb stood there holding this bucket, but actually the bucket is holding him. That's the plan. I'm thinking if I glue him in the right position, then he's going to stay there. Now, this could go really badly wrong. And you've got to promise not to laugh, okay? Oh, go on, then you can laugh if you want to. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue the handle of the bucket firmly up in the right direction so that I can glue the lamb to the bucket and the bucket handle. Wood around the other handle too. You can't see that. It's over this side. Now I got these sticks and I didn't know whether I would need to put a stick up through Lammy to keep him more straight. But I'm thinking if I glue his leg to the side of the bucket as well, will that hold him straight? And then his hand up there, I can show you there, if I put his hand up there, will that hold him steady enough? Or will he lean forward? What do you think? Do I need to? I could tell you what, I could always stick this in later. So if you were wondering why on earth has she got some skewers by the side of her craft. Oh, I've also got all these letters that I've now messed up and put everywhere. It's a bit of a sloppy night tonight. I think I'm getting tired. Right, I'm going to glue Lammy right down there to the floor. And he'll also cover that nasty little seam. Well, it's not nasty, but it's visible. So I've got to work quick and I want to get tons of hot glue all down here. Right, then we're going to stick Lammy to there and hold it there until the glue starts to cool a little bit. Now I could have done something technical like wire this, but I'm thinking not everybody can handle it. I'm not very good at it, and it's nice to have something you can just grab your glue gun and glue away to your heart's content, and you haven't got to do anything too difficult or technical, or you haven't got to have the right wires and drill holes in things. You just glue it all together. Right, so now I'm going to take my life in my hands and I'm going to try straightening Lammy up. Oh! I think we're going to be fine if he holds the basket there. So I'm going to stick tons and tons and tons of hot glue on his hand and along the top of the basket so I know that that's holding. Sorry if you can't see. I'm never going to manage this while turning it to the camera. Oh, it's working. It's working. I didn't think it would, but it did. So now while he's drying, move him very carefully out of the way. And here I've got some letters that should say Happy Easter. So now I need to thread Happy Easter onto this. If I tie a knot, I can take the rest of that off now. If I tie a knot on every letter, then that should, in theory, make them all face the front. So now I'm going to fix this to my bucket of my lamb. And then glue it on. And while I'm gluing that on, I just want to say a huge thank you to anybody who's made it this far in the video. And thank you for watching my videos anyway. Thank you to all my subscribers. It really means the world to me that people watch my crafts and see what I'm doing. And I do appreciate every one of you, and every time you click like on my videos, if you subscribe, or even if you just watch. So now I'm going to glue that there, I think. Let's have a look, see how it's going to lie. Yep, I think about there. Are you going to make any of the crafts that I've made today? Let me know if you're going to try. I'd love to know, and I'd love to see how you get on. So if ever you make anything of one of my videos, I've got an email address, and it's myartjourney, in one word, myartjourney @aol.com. And you can send me photographs there of things you've made, and I'd love to see how you interpret my ideas, because of course we don't all buy the same things from charity shops, and even if we did, we'd all come up with something different, and we have favourite colours and things. Lammy needs a bow. I can't let Lammy go without a bow, so I don't like Lammy's red bow. That can go, and we'll give him a nice spring looking bow. Oh, that is really sweet, isn't it? Oh yes, that's the place for that to go. Do you think Lammy needs a bow on each ear? No, I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's have a look what Lammy looks like up on my Easter display. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give me a thumbs up, and it would be great if you could subscribe, and that way then you can follow my journey through making all these crazy and happy and pretty things, from thrifted items, things from pound shops, Dollar Tree, and there'll be the odd bit of art thrown in. I have items sent to me by my viewers, I have hauls, so there's always something going on over on my channel. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye!